Yeah. Thanks, Matt. Hey, friends. It's good to be back. Matt mentioned I was here last year. That was my first MacDevOps. This is my second one. Having a blast in Vancouver. It's winter back home, so thanks again for whoever organized the weather this week. It's been amazing. I'm going to be talking about a tool called Cypress. It's a shiny new macOS helper tool that we've been building internally at work. Essentially, we wanted to empower our end users to self-remediate their Macs, so we decided to build something that helps facilitate this. This is what the agenda looks like. So I'm going to go into the problems we were trying to solve and how we went about solving them. I'll dive into the app itself. I'll show off the UI, the user interface, talk a bit about the architecture, and how the different processes of the app are communicating over IPC or XPC, and how the app gets configured by these things that we call states. If all goes well with my demo, I'll wrap up with where we're at with the project and what next steps look like. Cool. Okay, so working with our trusted partner teams, such as IT and security, we were able to identify 3 key problem areas where a self-remediation tool could be beneficial to build and implement. Generally speaking, in our line of work, no news is good news. However, working closely with IT, we were able to determine categories of support tickets that involved very basic remediation steps if the user had a basic understanding of the service to be remediated. Building on top of that, we liked the idea of putting the end user in the driver's seat. We were looking for opportunities to empower the user to remediate issues by themselves without having to contact IT where it's not absolutely necessary. And in some cases, users were defaulting to contacting IT without any troubleshooting attempted whatsoever. To a certain extent, IT was being taken for granted. Like IT can just fix it. For example, I've overheard end users in the office contact IT to install software that we offer in Managed Software Center. So there's definitely an opportunity to educate and empower our end users. And last but not least, in some cases where the remediation process does require a human to click a button or enter a password, we wanted to provide actionable steps just in time without requiring the user to hop on a call with IT. So Cypress, it's a self-service app that lives in the menu bar, and it monitors critical services that you've defined. The end user gets notified when a critical service needs attention, and we can use this as an opportunity to educate the user in real time about the service and why it's critical, and provide a path forward for the user to self-remediate their Mac with some actionable steps. Our secondary goal is to reduce the number of tickets that are being submitted to our friendly IT team. And selfishly, I work in the client platform engineering team. Fewer tickets to IT generally means fewer escalations to our team, which we would appreciate. And lastly, we wanted Cypress to be extensible where possible. So if you're able to read and write like basic markup and basic shell scripts, you can extend the functionality of Cypress for your team or organization. Okay, so that's what the menu bar portion of the app looks like. You are presented with a list of states that you define, and you get a status of like green is good, red is bad, sort of like traffic lights. The red square up the top is the menu bar icon, so it sort of gives you an overview of your, like if something's bad, it'll be red. And you can also define the states to send a notification, which looks something like this. So in this instance, it's Managed Software Center. Something's wrong with Managed Software Center. We've notified the user, either they've seen the red in the menu bar or they have been presented with that notification. And if you tap on that, you're taken to a view that looks like this. So you've got a bigger window and you get some information about what is Managed Software Center, why is it important, why it's important that it should be working, and steps to remediate it. And in this instance, the way we're choosing to remediate it is by installing a Bootstrap package that we deploy offer via our MDM. So that's one example of like something that's failed catastrophically. Here's an example of something that's more of a warning. So this one here is software update. Again, instead of red, it's yellow, it's a warning. Software update, you get a notification if you've defined it. Please update, and you get a sort of nudge-like behavior if you're familiar with the nudge project. Why you want to update, what version you're on, what version we want you to be on, and if you click on, I think, more info, it takes you to like system settings, and it sort of guides you to that update. So that's a rough overview of the UI. Under the hood, so you've got the Cypress app doing all the heavy lifting. That's the blue icon in the middle. That's managing the state. It's loading the state in from config profiles and state definitions. They're currently YAML. We landed on YAML. We found it was easier to read than JSON or property lists. We might bake in that functionality later at a later stage. And so the Cypress app is what drives that menu bar and the bigger window that you saw in the previous slide. The Cypress app, those state definitions execute commands that have been defined to like check something on the device and get a value back, and that happens via that Cypress helper, which is a launch daemon. I'll go into that on the next slide, but basically it's handing off that work, that privilege escalation to the Cypress helper. Some processing happens, it gets a value back, and then it presents what you see in the menu bar. Cool. So I mentioned XPC before. Can I get a show of hands? Has anyone played with like the XPC framework in Swift? It's fun, right? In air quotes, yeah? Yeah. For those of you that don't know XPC, XPC or IPC, it's an Apple technology. XPC is an Apple technology built on top of IPC that allows communication through processes. So the Cypress process, which is configured as a launch agent, sends messages via XPC to the Cypress helper process. And the Cypress helper process, which is configured as a launch daemon, registers an XPC listener, and it waits for incoming XPC messages. And those are those commands that are defined in the states that I mentioned. It processes the incoming request and returns a response back to the Cypress process. With the Cypress helper has been configured to only receive messages from the Cypress processes or nothing else. So in theory, you can't just sort of talk to the daemon and do whatever you want. Fun fact, the launch agent and launch daemon services are now defined within the app bundle itself, and they don't use the legacy method of like /library/launch agents or /library/launch daemons. It's also self-contained in the app bundle. And the Cypress Service Manager it's a little binary tool that's also in the app bundle that registers and unregisters these services using the service management framework in Swift. Has anyone used the service management framework or played with that? That one's also fun. And you can read more about it at the developer doc link provided there. Cool. So we've got these states that I've mentioned. It's where you define what you want to see in the Cypress app. And these state definitions, they're written in YAML. And what determines the status of a state is defined by the return code of the command or shell script attached to the state definition. So we've identified 5 key states that seem to work for most of our use cases, or all of our use cases. Success is good, and that's just returning 0. If something's gone wrong, so I think the example that I showed before, I think it was Managed Software Center, like we will always want that to be working. That's your command that you run would have to return a 1 for that error state to show up. Warning is for just about everything else, excluding the bottom 2. Sometimes you want to inform users of something, but it's not necessarily catastrophic. Like, hey, you should probably update, not you need to update right now. We've also got we added this later, but we've got an informational state. Sometimes you just want to present information and not alert the user. So that's the information state, and then if something's fallen over, we've got an unknown state, just as a safety net. If you've defined variables in your state definitions, so Cypress supports this concept of variables in the state definitions. If you've defined variables, as long as you return structured data back by standard output of the command or shell script, these variables will be updated dynamically. And I'll show that in the demo shortly. Speaking of which, demo. Okay. Yes, great. Okay, so Cypress, little menu bar icon here. I'm in a demo account, so everything's broken, which is perfect for my demo. Otherwise, it would have just been all green. So I can click on an individual item, it'll take me directly to that item, or I can just open Cypress and it'll take me to sort of, if you're opening it for the first time, sort of a landing page, otherwise whatever was previously selected. But for example, I'll open up configuration management. So on the left here, you've got all the different states that you have defined. These are the ones that we've defined for our organization. On the right-hand side, I mentioned before, information about what it is, why it's important, and why it needs to be working. In this instance, config management, we use Salt to manage config. It's broken, and here are the steps to remediate. This is, it's probably, does show, yeah, it's a little scrollable field. Definitely drawn inspiration from Bart's Swift dialog. It's customizable. You can put sort of whatever you want in there, Markdown, GIFs, tables, which I'll show in a sec, static images, a few different things there, but you can sort of build out something pretty customizable. I think I've just, there we go. And I'm not going to hit the remediation button, but like this is telling me the way we fix Salt is just go to Monkey, run a package, it'll remediate. So that's a bad state. A good state is something like this. This is just checking if your device is enrolled in DEP. It looks good. If it was broken, it would run the profiles renew command in the background. And you should get a prompt, and it'll give you information on sort of what to expect, as an example. Here's an example of the information state. You should probably just install Workbrew, but if you're cheap like me and you want to inform, so for this the original idea was we were going to target our engineers or developers and just give them sort of high-level overview of like what's out of date and how they can update it. This one could probably be automated. Some of these actually, yeah, can be automated, but we wanted to sort of capitalize on the opportunity to sort of educate users about sort of what's running on their machine. I mentioned tables before. It supports tables. As long as you pass back like structured data in the right format, you can present a few different types of UI, which is kind of cool. Manage Software Center, that's all coming along nicely here. Software update, so update to Tahoe. Hopefully someone gets a reference. But yeah, it just tells you to update. I think if you click on more info, it should just take you to system settings, and yeah, off you go. I haven't turned off SIP. I faked this one, but I just wanted to highlight like you can have sort of lists of information as well. It supports most Markdown type, like it formats most things that you can write in Markdown. This one, so outside of Cypress, our MDM is configured to send an email to the person, to the user assigned to the device if they, for some reason, turn off SIP. We'll probably keep that, and this will just sort of augment that. Just, hey, we need you to turn on SIP, and here are the reasons why, and we'll just keep nagging you via this app. That's the idea. And a contentious one, people don't like restarting their machines, but we thought we'd put it in there anyways, just to sort of see how many people complain, I guess. But again, supports GIFs, and yeah, that's the gist of the app. All of these, again, they're defined in YAML. Obviously, some of these are very specific to our environment, but you could sort of roll your own. If you wanted to, if you want to roll your own, you could just open up a text editor, start writing a whole bunch of YAML. I have written out a JSON schema, so when all this goes live and I publish that, you can just load up, I think it's the file format, like the file extension, but your like VS Code should just have autocomplete and all that fun stuff. But if you don't want to do that, we've built a little helper tool that helps you build the state. Still a work in progress, but you can sort of really quickly hack something together if you just want to, start typing, and you get an idea of what you see, all the different states. It doesn't do it. That doesn't do anything, but it just gives you a quick. If you just want to sort of get some scaffolding up and running quickly, and then you can sort of test it in some sort of dev environment. So this app will just ship alongside the main Cypress app. Yeah, so that's the gist of it. let me jump back to my slides. Is there anything else I wanted to show? No, that's pretty much it. Cool. Okay, so next steps. So we've been testing Cypress internally for the last few months with our trusted friends in IT and security. I'd say about 1% of our entire fleet. We're about a week or so away from launching it internally to the masses, and we'll use the next few sprints, like a couple of months, to gain feedback, squash any remaining bugs, tidy up documentation, all that fun stuff. And we have plans to open source this on GitHub. So fingers crossed, coming soon to a repository near you. That's pretty much it. That's where you can find me online. Does anyone still send emails? I don't. But you can send me an email. I will reply. Got my GitHub there. That's for my personal projects. This project will be, again, fingers crossed, will be published through my employer. You can find me on the Mac Admin Slack. I'm also here for the rest of the conference, so come say hi, please. Don't be shy. That's it. Thank you.